This Serbian and Yugoslav house still, it will, I already told some people, I think we are going to keep part of the history here in this ground floor of this building, because this residence is going to be turned into embassy very soon, maybe somewhere from mid-summer, the end of July this year. We have one pleasant occasion on why we are gathering here. It's to somehow, I have to admit that I had a problem now how to present something what is a pleasure. And the reason is we are talking about a guy, gentleman, who is a film critic who 16 years ago left his hometown, came to Otavi, and in another 15 years he became unavoidable if you want to talk about history of Canadian film, about Canadian pictures. The weird part of it is that the only current published book on Canadian pictures is in Serbian. I'm a little bit suspicious that even the previous one, which was existing till 1999, the author had some very suspicious
background.
Slavic each family name. Mr. Bosicic, in fact, wrote 3 books in Canada. He was very productive. And I'm not going to talk about it because I'm illiterate really for all what he's doing all his life, what his profession, his trade. I'm only somebody who goes to movies, and to be frank with you, not that frequently anymore. It's not only me, I guess. Very soon, maybe in a few days, there will be one of the festivals that Belgrade, my generation, was so proud of its fest. Many people knows. But there are festivals in Sarajevo. You know, there was theater festival. There were some other festivals, and there were some very important events in Yugoslav cinematography of that time where Mr. Bosicic somehow was participating too. I will finish with something what is not really, I would like to see this book in English. And I would like to see more Canadians interested in that, what Mr. Bosicic is doing. There are few newspapers who already somehow recognize his effort and his achievement, better say, because it's really a book on history of 30 years of the most prestigious award for pictures in this country. And let's hope that this gathering in a year or two, maybe before I leave this posting, we will move to the archive, film archive of this country, and have one bigger gathering of people who like pictures and who respect that what Mr. Bosicic is doing. Thank you once again, and let me, I don't have to introduce somebody who is the friend of our region, better say, Ambassador Bisek, who did so much for people of those countries today, you can't even say what, who knows very well us, our mentality. I don't know what got him, you know, so strongly, you know, but he's, after so many years, still with us. He came to Belgrade in 1989, I think, or 88. And his, let's say, brief posting in the first part due to all those unfortunate developments in the former Yugoslavia. didn't last that long, that he didn't maybe achieve everything what he wanted to. But later on, he did much, much more than maybe any ambassador of, not to say Canadian ambassador, did for this country and the people of the former Yugoslavia. Thank you, Mr. Bicefo, and thank you, better say Excellency. You are still in, you know, I was chief of protocol 7 years, and in tradition of many countries, once ambassador for good. So, Excellency, there is no floor, but it's yours.
First of all, let me thank you very much for your kind remarks. And thank you again for your graciousness and generosity in hosting this evening's event. And we all appreciate that very much. Yes, it's true, I've been a good friend of Serbia. I knew a lot about the Balkans before going to Belgrade, but I was on the ground when the breakup took place, and I saw with my own eyes what was happening there, and realized that very quickly, right from the beginning, that the Serbian people and Serbia were being blamed for the breakup and everything else that followed. And I left in '92 during the Bosnian War, and I felt so strongly about the misinformation and outright lies that were being told that I thought that I did know the truth, and that I would dedicate a good part of my life and time in trying to convince people that they've got much more to learn about what really happened there than reading the American and the NATO-led countries' media. And I think we're beginning slowly to change. I know that a lot of my fellow ambassadors, when I began to speak out against the bombing, accused me of being not quite a traitor, but accused me of being misguided and foolish. Now many of them, almost all of them, come to me and say, you know, the more we learn about what really happened there, the more we realize it was a terrible mistake. So slowly, and the truth does come out. So, but and I somewhat reluctantly became the chairman of the Lord Byron Foundation because I didn't know much about it, but it was formed for the same purposes. A group of essentially intellectuals, American and British, who were so appalled by the news that was coming out of the former Yugoslavia during the violence that was taking place there, that they formed a group called the Lord Byron Foundation. The first chairman was Sir Alex Sherman, who was a young communist, Cockney communist, who went to Spain to fight against Franco, found out what communism was really all about and rejected the party, and became eventually one of Margaret Thatcher's top advisors. But he was so appalled that he wanted this organization to form up. When he retired, because I happened to be in Chicago and had been at a conference talking against the bombing, the Americans and the British representatives decided that the only Canadian in their group should become the chairman, so I accepted. And we've done a lot of work, and we have a publication, many of you know about it. And but in addition to that, what I liked what you said, Ambassador, was it's not just that I liked Serbia, but I'm interested in the Balkans and the people of the Balkans. And often they are misinterpreted by the West. They're looked upon as, you know, people that are not quite the same as Western Europeans, and therefore they can be treated differently. And it's not only the Serbs, it's the Balkans generally. And the Lord Byron Foundation tries to combat that. But anyway, I'm not here to talk politics. I actually have a linkage to the film industry. My daughter, my only daughter, decided to become a film director. She studied film at the Canadian University.
It's the strongest linkage, trust me, no, especially with
Yes. And she won first prize at International Film Festival in New York and also in Toronto for documentaries. But she wasn't making any money. So eventually she's left the film industry, I'm sorry to say. And now she's probably following in her father's footsteps. She's a public servant not working very hard, but making pretty good money. Anyway, I'm delighted to be here. We know each other, we've met before, and we've talked a lot. I'm very proud of your achievements, and it's sad to say, you know, in a sense, following on the ambassador's words, that following the conflict and the upheavals in the former Yugoslavia, one of the many countries that profited a great deal from that, in a negative way for the Balkans, but positive for Canada, was that many thousands of young and talented Serbian people came to Canada as a result of that conflict. Serbia has lost a great deal, and so has Bosnia as a result of that, but Canada has gained a great deal. And I meet these people almost every day. And Bojan is just another example of someone who came here in 1995 and has already made his name in the film industry. And shame to say, in a sense, the only English book about the Genie Awards, our Oscars, have been written by this man here. And he deserves a great deal of credit for that. And I think all Serbs should be very proud of him. And he's just a young man, he just started. So, so carry on.
Thank you very much, Your Excellencies, Mr. Velić and Mr. Pisac, for the introduction of all these nice words. Dobrodošli, dobro večer, dame I gospodo. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm glad and really it's my honor and pleasure to have you all here tonight, the promotion of my book. Bonsoir, mesdames et messieurs. Je suis très heureux de vous soyez ici ce soir. I try to be trilingual. You know, my book is about Canadian cinema, and it's written in Serbian. So I would like to say something parallel in Serbian in English. First of all, ja sam zaista veoma počastvovan da se promocija moje knjige održava ovdje u ambasadi Republike Srbije. S tim u vezi ja bih izrazio duboku zahvalnost vama, vašoj ekscelenciji, gospodinu Veljiću, za iskazanu spremnost, razumijevanje I gostoprimstvo. Evo, da se održi ovaj jedan lijepi kulturni događaj u kojem se okupila naša srpska zajednica ovdje u Otavi, a I iz Montreala također.
Iz Hadsona.
Isto tako zahvalio bi se I fondaciji Lord Byron, gospodinu Bisetu I gospođi Bobi, koji su puno učinili, koji su svesrdno pomogli u organizaciji ovoga skupa. Da se malo našalim, ovo je zaista jedan specijalan dan, jel, 29. novembar se dešava, 29. februar se dešava svake 4. godine. This is really a special day because 20 of February happens only in 4 years.
Sljedeći 29. nova knjiga.
When I came to Canada from Sarajevo via Subotica in Serbia to Ottawa in 1995. I never dreamt about it that my mission would be to write 3 books about Canadian cinema. Jay Stone, he published a really nice article about my work at Ottawa Citizen, and he calls me like the last cinema romantic, and because that's the way how I signed my letter, and he asked me why you like regard yourself as the last cinema romantic. I said, well, very simple. Who else would write 3 books about Canadian cinema? There is no such. Canadian cinema is really an excellent cinema. It's a small cinema. It's like it's very close and similar to Serbian cinema. It's an auteur cinema, artistic, very artistic, very courageous, audacious, very provocative. I like Canadian cinema because, to me, cinema should be like reflection of life and mirror of reality. That's why I like Canadian cinema, because it's quite opposite to the Hollywood, this meaningless, brainwashing Hollywood escapism. Canadian cinema speaks about everyday life, speaks about ordinary people with their problems, with their dilemmas, traumas, hopes, dreams, cauchemars. That's what make the life itself. So that's what I like Canadian cinema. That's one of the questions which I always ask. I had a lot of interviews, and they ask me, why did you choose to write 3 books about Canadian cinema? So, because it's really a rarity, and maybe I look like a bit weird because Canadian writers, they don't write about Canadian cinema. But it tells what Your Excellency said before. I think it's a paradox that a guy who came here 15 years ago wrote this unique book. It's not because I have written it, it's because it's really the fact. It's the only book in the whole world published in Serbian about 3 decades, 30 years of the Genie Award, which is like equivalent to Hollywood Oscars. So I would like to say a few words about it. Why I have written this book in Serbian. First of all, to me, it was as a writer, it was much easier to express myself fully in my mother tongue, Serbian. The other reason is I had a publisher. I'm an established writer. I had a publisher, Pillars of Culture, Stubovi Kulture in Belgrade, who already published 4 of my books. So I didn't need to go and look or shop around to get a publisher, because it's a paradox that this book was published in Serbia, in Serbian, but not here in Canada in English. I think I would be able, I think my knowledge of English is quite okay, so I could have written, and I have a friend he couldn't make it tonight, Joseph Griffin, but who helped Bill to polish his book. So he said that he will do that free of charge. But it's really a paradox that why, and in my book there is a chapter about it, about that lack of Canadian identity. That's that lack of that self-respect for Canadian culture, for Canadian heritage. For example, my book was added here to the collection of the National Library of Canada, and I was very, very pleased, in spite of the fact that it's in Serbian, but they recognize that it's contribution to the Canadian heritage. But on the other hand, Ottawa Public Library, and my wife works for the Ottawa Public Library, they refused to buy the book, and they give me very, it's like really bureaucratical, like an answer that you know, like there is no enough Serbian-speaking people in Ottawa, which I was very angry, and I had a discussion with the head of the library, and I said, hey, first of all, it happens that where my wife works, there are 2 people who are speaking Serbian, working there. Whenever I go outside, as you know, you can always hear Serbian language. There are a lot of, what you mentioned, Your Excellency, there are a lot of Serbian people here living. So, but it tells you, it's not about that, about that they didn't purchase my book. It's about that I said, hey, it's in Serbian, but it's about Canadian culture. It's about Canadian Canadian heritage. So it tells you that lack of appreciation for the own heritage, for the own culture, is something which I really cannot understand, and one chapter of the book is dedicated to that. Još bi nešto htio da kažem, I will say a few in Serbian, in my mother tongue. Kada sam došao ovdje u Otavu, razmišljao sam zašto me sad tu sudbina ovdje poslala. Ispričat ću vam sada nešto ovako lično, ovo je jedno moje lično viđenje čudnovatosti života. Moje životno iskustvo me koje u posljednjih, za vrijeme rata u Sarajevu bilo prilično gorko i tako dalje, me u stvari naučilo da se ništa u životu ne dešava zapravo slučajno. Da u svemu tome ima neka tajna veza. Ja sam voljom sudbine došao ovdje 1995. godine. Počeo sam karijeru na radiju Sarajevu, u kultnoj emisiji Primos. Međutim, ja sam se voljom sudbine preko noći obreo u filmskoj kući Forum i istovremeno sam počeo da pišem filmske kritike. U Forumu sam upoznao Amira Kusturica, sa kojim sam radio na dva njegova najznačajnija filma, ja bih rekao, poslije Dolly Bell, to je bio Otac na službenom putu, kada je dobio Zlatnu palmu, i Dom za vešanje, Time of Gypsies. Nakon toga, desio se rat u Sarajevu, ja sam voljom sudbine došao ovdje u Otavu. I u stvari, shvatio sam da u svemu tome sudbina je ta koja nekako određuje te životne puteve i za sve postoji neki razlog. Ja nisam fatalista i nisam sledbenik bollywoodskih filmova, da vam odmah to kažem. Ali za mene, svi smo mi akteri na pozornici života, gdje sudbina je i producent, i reditelj, i scenarista. Ja sam došao ovdje u Otavu i 4 mjeseca nakon toga, evo sad vam kažem, opet voljom sudbine, slučajno sam pročitao u novinama, pošto o Genie Awards, o genijima ovdje nema puno, toliko publiciteta, naravno svi govore samo o Hollywoodu i ovdje, pročitao sam mali članak, najavu za dodjelu genija, koja je trebala da bude iduće nedelje. To je već bilo prilično kasno, jer prijave za akreditaciju su bile završene još prije 2 nedelje. Ja sam nazvao, nekako sam došao do broja akademije i kontaktirao sam akademiju i onda, gledajte ovo sada novu stvar, ko je predsjednik akademije? Marija Topalović. Marija Topalović, čiji otac je kćerka srpskog iseljenika sa Kosova polja. I ne znam da li je sada to igrala neku ulogu, ali ja sam je poslao moj rezime i tako dalje. Ja sam dobio preko veze, dobio sam tu akreditaciju mimo svih tih rokova koji su istekli i tako sam se prvi put obreo na dodjelu nagrada 14. januara 1996. godine. I tako je u stvari sve počelo. I would like to say, I was talking about the destiny and how the life can be unpredictable. I want to say that if it was not for Marija Topalović, I would say the head of the academy, she was there in the academy for 28 years. She retired in 2007. If it was not for her, probably I wouldn't have written this book. But actually, I met her, it was just coincidence, because I learned about the genies first time when I came to Canada. It was like a small, like that text in the newspapers. Yeah. Because genies, they receive just a tiny publicity. When it's Oscars, everybody speaks about what Angelina Jolie wears, or whatever, Yeah, that's one thing. What else I want to say? The other question I was always asked was, like, why I have written this book in Serbian. I also said there is another reason beside that it's easy for me to express myself and because I have an established publisher. It's about that what I'm trying to do here. I am a Canadian, but I'm also a proud Serbian. So I think it's very important that one doesn't neglect its roots and the origins. Because if you neglect your history, your past, you wouldn't be able to turn into future. So, with writing in Serbian about Canadian cinema, about Canadian films, I want to build some kind of bridge between two cultures, between two cinemas. At the same time, I try to give it's my like personal humble contribution to preservation of Serbian language and culture on this North American continent, where, as you said, Your Excellency, a lot of Serbian immigrants arrived. It's a new wave of immigration. They are more intellectual, more educated, and they really appreciate culture. So that was one of the reasons why I have written this book in Serbian, and why. You know what? Maybe you can recognize I feel really that I'm like a cinema romantic. I'm very passionate about cinema. To me, watching movies is like dreaming with open eyes. When I watch movies, I know I go to the journey, discovering new cultures, new people, new customs, new ways of life, and enriches me. I have one, the famous French philosopher René Descartes, from the 16th century. He said his famous motto, je pense, donc je suis. So, mislim, dakle, postojim, cogito ergo sum. I have my life motto, it's like, I dream, therefore I am. So, this book, it's example that, you know, my dreams came true, and I hope that this book about Canadian Oscars, the genies, le prix génie, is going to be translated translated into English. Today was really my special day because of everything, not because it's only because it's the 29th of February. I received again accreditation for the Genie Awards. I'm going next Thursday there to the Genies. My book will be also presented there. And I was invited. I talked today, few hours ago, with the director of communication, Madame Susan Asgo, and I was, after that official ceremony, I'm invited to special gala only for the Canadian stars and actors, whatever. It's like equivalent to the governor ball in Hollywood. So, well, I would say another better accomplishment for a guy. I'm very emotional. He came to Canada as a refugee from war-torn Bosnia with two small bags in his hands, but with a head and heart full of dreams. Thank you very much. Now I would like my friend Dimitra Stanisic to invite him to read just part of my book, and it's in Serbian, but it's about what I was talking about. Thank you.
Very gladly, I will read one short part from this book, but please, if I stumble somewhere, please forgive me, because I got this book 20 minutes ago, so I'll do my best. I'll read in Serbian. The name of the book in English is That Beautiful Dreamers. And the chapter is Anonymous Genius. Amerikanci i ceo svet imaju Oskare, Britanci Bafte, Francuzi Cezare, Italijani Davide, Nemci Lole, Španci Goje, a Kanađani genije. Na pitanje koje se u javnosti često postavlja, zašto bi nas bilo briga za genije, Marija Topalović spremno odgovara protiv pitanjem koje sadrži dublje i šire značenje. A zašto bi onda marili za sebe? Smatram da geniji nadilaze svoju osnovnu funkciju samopromocije filmske industrije. Ja ih doživljavam kao deo jednog većeg sistema kanadske samodefinicije. Da nema genija, trebalo bi ih izmisliti. Kada se pogleda na sve ove protekle godine i filmove koji su pobedili, to predstavlja dokument o našem identitetu. Bilo je snimljeno dosta zadivljujućih filmova. To je ogroman kulturni iskaz. Promišljeno, kako mu to i priliči, govori o genijima Atom Egojan, mezimac ovih nagrada. Sa svim svojim manama, protivrečnostima i hendikepima, geniji su simbol kanadske kinematografije koja iz petnih žila nastoji da ne ostane večito na tamnoj strani meseca, nevidljiva za domaću publiku. Još od prvih dana genijima je zakačena sarkastična etiketa najbolje čuvana tajna. Šta ove nagrade znače za širu kanadsku javnost? Evo što o tome šta misle sami filmski stvaraoci i glumci. To jeste i dalje najbolje čuvana tajna. Lepo je to što smo mi kao filmska zajednica u mogućnosti da slavimo naš rad, pošto smo često angažovani u borbi da očuvamo živom našu filmsku industriju. To je moment da ukažemo počast filmovima koji su snimljeni i da nagradimo najbolje. Lepo je biti prepoznat u svojoj zajednici. To je ono što je sjajno u vezi genija. A da bi ih prepoznala publika, to je već stvar mnogo većih ulaganja u produkciju, distribuciju i prikazivanje domaćih filmova u Kanadi. Bez obzira na sve, ja ne nameravam da idem u Hollywood, ostajem ovde da snimam filmove, kaže multitalentovana Sara Poli, glumica, veteranka i rediteljka debitantkinja koja je 2007. godine nominovana za Oskara za adaptaciju scenarija za njen film Daleko od nje. Što je važnije, biti nominovan za Oskara, šta je važnije, biti nominovan za Oskara ili za genije? Smatram da je to interesantno pitanje, nimalo površno. Sama ideja nagrada za mene je nešto što ne mogu da u potpunosti objasnim. Ne mislim da je film takmičarski sport i nisam sigurna šta jedna nagrada zapravo znači. To je pomalo budalasta tema. Pamtim moment kada sam otvarala pisma sa čestitkama za moju oskarovsku nominaciju, koja su mi uputili gradonačelnik Toronta i ministar kulture. To se desilo nakon što su objavljene nominacije za genije. Bio je to jedan od onih trenutaka kada se želela da svaki autor čiji film je nominovan za genija dobije takva pisma. Ali voljela bih da sam dobila ta pisma na osnovu toga što sam nominovana za genije, a ne za Oskar. To za mene bio simbol kako malo ozbiljnosti i graviteta dajemo sami sebi i koliko mnogo važnosti dajemo ideji priznanja koje dolazi od Amerikanaca. Mi nismo u tome jedinstven slučaj i mnoge druge zemlje to rade. Moji prijatelji u Engleskoj, Francuskoj, Španiji ili Nemačkoj posvećuju također puno pažnje Oskarima. Zaista je velika stvar kada neki autor ili film iz tih zemalja bude kandidovan za Oskara. Ali oni posvećuju istu pažnju i vlastitim nagradama. Oni prate dodelu tih nagrada ne dišući. U Kanadi toga nema za naše. Nema za naše genije, nego samo za Oskare. To govori o našem niskom nivou samopoštovanja. Bez ustezanja, veli Sara Poli. Omiljena kanadska glumica Sheila McCarthy, dvostruka dobitnica genija za najbolju žensku glavnu ulogu, ima svoj emotivni komentar. Ja sam veoma frustrirana svaki put kada dođem za genije. Ovo je još uvek najbolje čuvana tajna. Mi smo mlada zemlja, mislim da još uvek puzimo. Mi živimo u susedstvu Hollywooda, monolita u filmskim univerzumu, iza koga stoje velika studija i to nas stavlja u hendikepiranu poziciju.
I just want to say once again, thank you very much, merci beaucoup to everybody.
May I say something? If you're interested in a book, you can obtain it by contacting the Lord Byron Foundation for Balkan Studies and my email. Okay.
Thank you. This book, TI DIVNI SANJARI, The Beautiful Dreamers, or in French, Le Beau Rêveur, is a book from a passionate dreamer dedicated to the to the beautiful dreamers, Canadian filmmakers. Hvala vam.
Bojane, šta nam možeš preporučiti i možemo doći do knjige?
Boba said, yeah, you can get a book through Lord Byron Foundation. They're available. Also, it's available, of course, on the internet. You know, just you can Google my name or whatever. It's in the libraries all around. Of course, if somebody goes to Serbia, it can be purchased by the publisher, Stubovi Kulture, or you can have it at Serbica Books in Toronto, where I go next week and I have my book promotion in 7 days from now on Wednesday, March 7th.
Well, good luck.
Please enjoy the cocktail now.
Yes.